Welcome to BESEA TV, where we celebrate, showcase and connect the best of British East Asian talent. And today we have an interview with the producers and creators of Mooncake. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi! I'm Isabella and I'm one of the creators of Mooncake.
Hi, my name's Nicola Chang. I am also one of the creators of Mooncake.
Hey! So, welcome. We are in a lovely pub in Woolwich having Mooncake, except the strange thing is
I have a nut allergy, so I actually can't
have it. So, we're just going to talk about Mooncake, which is an audio drama, which actually I was involved in.
What?
But this isn't nepotism. I don't think they knew when they contacted me.
It's like, ooh, Tony.
So, hi. So, can you explain the concept of what Mooncake is?
Sure, it's an audio play, sort of audio experience, but I was, as a sound designer, tasked to create a piece that was primarily audio led, and so for me it's exploration to how sound and conversation and recording can tell a story.
Yeah, and I kind of got pulled into this project when Nicola was sort of still in the brainstorming stage. So I remember there was like a gap between where the project's like, okay, it's gonna happen. From our conversation. So the first conversation we had was over Zoom, and it was just like we were chatting about the possibility of this Mooncake story, and then me and Nicola were just, I remember, because we called at 9 and then we were chatting until midnight.
Proper midnight,
yeah. And we're just like, oh my god, this could be a story like this and this and this, and little did I know that it was actually going to go forward. So then that's when we started to go, okay, let's get practical.
Yeah, but inherently it's about like reminiscing, but inherently about experiences. I think particularly because mooncakes are consumed during London Festival, and it's a very family and a very communal event.
Which I can eat because
I can't eat because of a nut allergy. So the reason why the gloss is usually peanut oil, so they usually.
And I've got the yolk.
It's alright, I don't like the yolk.
I love the yolk.
I don't like the yolk.
What? It's the best part.
No.
So this is like a really family thing. So I'm just gonna chuck my granddad in there because he's my hero. Both my granddad and I always like fight for the yolk.
Really?
And he's old. He's not supposed to eat too much of yolk, but he would always just get the piece of the yolk.
Or quota.
Yeah, over his quota. But that's like, so when Nicola told me that she's going to do an audio drama about Mooncake, it was like family, lanterns, childhood, like all came at once, and we're both from Hong Kong, and that sort of really just resonated with us. We just, and it just like kind of close to our chest sort of theme.
So, you brought Isabella in.
Yes.
So how did you, I think it was 45 degrees, so
yeah, 45 North.
45 North.
Oh yeah, it's a production company.
So how did they get involved?
So they emailed me first, like they were looking for their second season of Into the Waves, and they were looking for design-led work. Because usually, as a sound designer, so for the past year after COVID and lockdown, I've done a lot of audio plays, and usually the process goes, a writer writes a piece, then directors attach, and they go, okay, well I want these things, and then the sound designer is attached to the final phase, so I go, okay, well I'm going to take on board all these things, and then react. I'm going to react to the lines, react to the verse, react to the spoken word, react to what was being said and was being scripted, and whereas now like 45 North was like, okay, look, we want a sound design then, so we want to ask a sound designer what story you're going to tell and how you're going to tell the story. And I thought long and hard, and like, you know what, I'm going to take that challenge on. And I wrote about, and I took on a project that I knew the best, which is a project that is my lived experience, because there was a version of this where I would just attach a microphone to a dog's head and just... What? Yeah, they have a whole story about a dog. That was one of the things I pitched. I was like, okay, what if you put a microphone on top of a dog's head and just let the dog run around in Greenwich Park? But I didn't do that. I just lame. My God. So what it is that was I wanted to know what happened, eavesdropping conversations. I also wanted to know. Yeah, because when I think about Mooncake, I think about the festival. I think about my grandma's house and all the aunts and uncles and all the aunties who go say all these things, and right, and the hustle and bustle and the atmosphere and the warmth and the lanterns that have a specific sound. I think about the in Daihan, which is in Hong Kong. I think about the Daihan, like the dragons. And I think about all these things. I think, what if we put a microphone and record it inside a mooncake tin? And because mooncakes are given as gifts from family and household to household, I know this is the best because I give them away all the time because I can't eat them.
Oh no, yeah. Can I ask you something?
Yes,
something in there.
Yeah.
When was the last time you spent Bidong Festival with your family in Hong Kong? In real life, in person?
Oh my God. 9-10 years ago? No, not even.
No way.
Too long. I haven't been home for a while, but I usually go. Don't you go? Yeah.
Oh
Too long.
gosh. Me, it's been I think 4 years. Yeah. But I have a massive family WhatsApp group.
Right.
So every year they would send me pictures. First picture of all the food on the table, and then a picture of all the dessert time. So it's like the mooncake, and they also have sai yao,
Yeah, pomelo.
pomelo, and tea, and chocolates, like loads of food, and lanterns, and then everyone's faces. So it's just like everyone but me. So every year I get a little bit jelly.
What? They photoshopped my face in, so there we go.
Hey! Oh, you're important.
You're not here.
Yeah, I try to call them when they're in the middle of the dinner. So
Yeah, I do that. So they pass the phone round and round.
Yes, yes.
Wait, auntie, hi, auntie.
Well, you two should have Autumn Moon Festival together.
Well,
We
yeah,
should.
We should.
COVID didn't let that, but we should do that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, what happened last year?
Pivot.
Autumn Festival.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, but
just
Middle
saying.
Festival is coming up now.
That's why I managed to get mooncakes because this is fortuitous timing. We didn't plan this, by the way. It's just happened to be coming up to Autumn Moon Festival.
Anyway, so
Anyway.
45 North commissioned me as a sound designer because I work as a sound designer in London to create a piece that's sound designer led. And I think that opens up all the avenues of going, wow, what happens if I put a recorder inside a tin? What does that sound? Make the sound sound like? What happens if I put a recorder in a tin by a laptop where a conversation happens at laptop? What happens if I put a tin and take the tin around London in a tube? Right? These are the things, as a sound designer, these are the things that excite me. I'm a massive sound geek. Remember when Bella and I were walking on the street and and I put a little recorder inside the mooncake tin, and I closed the tin and someone closed the car door and I was like,
And the baby crying, you remember? We walked past the baby crying, like, and the baby was crying, and the baby went into the shop, and Nicola was literally like tempted to like just hang around here and like get the baby crying in the recording.
you get them to cry even more because like these things fascinate me, you know, sound within different boundaries, sound. Anyway,
Yeah.
and then I found better because I can't write a story for my life, but she can. So
So-
there we go.
Oh,
So
thank
you
you.
came up to the way you work together. I'm going to say collaborate. Because you sort of came up with the idea and the concept, and then you wrote the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, we kind of wrote the story together. We talked about it. We had Zoom sessions where, you know what, just write. So there's a couple of things that Nicola really wanted in it. Is the kitchen experience. So I think you took inspiration from the ASMR of like cooking utensils, egg beating, stuff like that, and just like being really close to the actions in the kitchen. So we knew that has to be in it. And other than that, it was just like, okay, what else? So we just started writing. So okay, what's related to history, family, and I think there was this a little bit, I would say, quite embarrassing first draft where it was sort of like
Like a mooncake through history of like, you know, the Tang dynasty and this and that.
where the mooncake is the character and the mooncake has a voice.
narrator, yeah.
And then the mooncake go, I'm a mooncake. Well, it wasn't as bad as that, but it was something like that. Where
we
the
needed the first draft immediately.
Yeah, it was a sassy mooncake with an attitude, and talking about how traditional mooncake is the best, going through history of mooncake. Yeah, so we incorporated those stories of mooncake in the first draft, but it just sort of felt like mooncake being the narrator is not really the core. It's not really sound led that way. It's more like a
narrator-led.
Narrator-led.
Yeah.
And also we decided that we wanted to find a focus of the story, and that's how we kind of stuck with our guts and our roots and our relationship with this food, which is family.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of the conversations around it, and I think that a lot of the scenes around it were taken from personal lived experiences. So, for example, the first Skype scene was very much based on conversations that I think our parents would have with us.
Yeah.
As both, people from Hong Kong. It's like, are you doing alright? How's it going? And then,
do you have enough money?
enough money?
Come go Tina.
Yes.
But also, a lot of it's about the disconnect, how you feel like always in Cantonese say "yekka balance," which is you've got a foot on both boats that go in different directions. And how do your Chinese parents communicate their love for you in a way and how do you communicate your love for them in a way that actually relates to them and reaches them? There's always gonna be which is
generation gap.
Yeah, generation gap. But
with.
how do you? And I think, and what we try to do is encapsulate that and make it quite understandable, and it always is a thing. It will always be a thing for whichever generation of immigrant you are as an East Asian, first generation immigrant. It will always be a thing, and I'm pretty sure that at some point, my future generations will experience the same thing, and also this almost validate that.
So I mean, you touched on that. Yeah, you're both born in Hong Kong. I mean, I'm British born. I mean, how do you feel about sort of like inclusivity, diversity in UK theatre?
Oh, not enough.
Or films, not just theatre, films and drama in general.
Okay, shall I start? Yeah, I'll start because I think within this industry, arts, I think there's there are actors. There's so many of us. I haven't been in London, the UK, to work in theatre for as long as you guys, but I do feel like there's not a lot of inclusivity, and when I do get cast or opportunities, I do feel a little bit like a token. It's hard because it's so hard to like. I wanted to see a lot of East Asian talents in the field, and I'm not saying that have the people who are working, who are putting their work out there, don't have talents and their work is not good enough. It's just like I would always hear one perspective, and if I as an audience can only hear one perspective and one narrative, then how do like the younger generation, because as you know there are more generations of East Asian families in the UK, like how could they relate to those stories and artwork that they see if there aren't creatives, artists, actors from East Asian descendants who, with our faces and our voices and our lived experience, telling them stories,
So do you think it's important for East Asian artists to actually write and create their own stuff from scratch? Because,
And I think for this project, what's been the most rewarding bit for me personally as sound designer is that designers also have their own stories often. I mean, people do theatre, like people make theatre, they don't often ask for design-led theatre. And if they do it visual design-led theatre, like, I'd be so interested to hear what East Asian lighting design wants to say. Because sound, light, point projection, we adorn. We go, okay, well you've got this, I'm gonna go whoop and make it presentable. But I've got my own story. I've got my own story of coming to the UK 7 years ago and pursuit of a dream, right?
Yeah.
And this has been probably one of the most rewarding processes that I've ever had, because as a sound designer, as a musician, I got to tell my story through a different channel. Back to your question, I think it's very important for East Asians to tell their own stories, and I think nobody tells your story better than the way you do, and you have to go for it.
And imagine if I get more casting that's like a character that I can relate to, instead of like, I just feel like this part is written for a white woman, but like they're just they're just letting me do the self-tape because they want to be inclusive.
Oh yeah, tick a box.
Yeah, I think we'll get
I'm very tired now. not sure I can watch anymore. I think we'll have to have the next bit next time. So come back and see the rest of the interview with the creators of Mooncake. Nighty night. See you next time. Bye bye.